Right, welcome to another video of unusual GCSE questions. This is a question that was requested that we do by someone who watched one of the earlier videos.
So it's the Edexcel GCSE Higher, and it is November 2022, paper 1, question 24.
So we're going to put that on the screen so you can have a look. It's two parts, so we'll put part A on the screen now and you can have a look at that, have a go at it, and then we'll talk about it. Cool, right. The first thing to notice about this question, I think, is that it's a ratio question. There's ratios all over the place now in GCSE papers. Any topic you can think of, there'll be a question where they put a ratio into it. So it's important you get confident using ratios. Anyway.
It tells us in the question that the volume of the sphere is equal to the volume of the cone, and those are two formulas that they give you in the exam, so they're just underneath the question. But if we know that, we can set them equal to each other. So we've got 4/3 pi r cubed is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h.
Okay, and notice in the two diagrams, they've labelled the radius with a lowercase r. And if they do that, if they use the same letter with the same case in the question twice, you've got to assume that they mean that they're the same thing.
Radius is the same.
And the radiuses are the same. It's not just like kind of a
radius is radii.
One or the other. Right. So you look at this and you think, how am I going to do this? If you've got to get a ratio r and h. Really, one way to think about that is just to rearrange this formula to give either r in terms of h or h in terms of r. If these are equal though, one idea that you can start with is look for things that you can cancel out.
So we can cancel the pi's out.
Yeah.
We can cancel an r squared out, can't we? So that'll just be r.
We can cancel 3 on the bottom.
Yeah.
Remember, cancelling doesn't just mean looking for two things that are the same though and crossing them out. It means dividing both sides by the same thing, or in the case of the 3's, it means multiplying both sides by the same thing. Right, so we've got 4r equals h. Now the mistake here that people are going to make is they're going to say that means that the ratio from r to h is 4:1. Got to remember that it's the other way around, right? So if we've got 4r equals 1h, that means that the ratio r to h is 1:4. That's how we do that. Now that's a bit of a thing that you can just remember, is if you've got a number and a letter, that ratio is the same as this the other way. I think we should talk about why that is.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Right, so there's a few different things that you can think of. So sometimes you're in a position where you get two ratios that are equal and you have to turn them into an equation. So this could have been something like, let's right over here.
Yeah,
if they said to you, and the question had been the other way, and they'd said that that ratio was equal to that, and you've got to convert that into an equation, one useful thing to remember is that you can just cross multiply. And so we can say 4r equals 1 times h, which is this. One of the reasons why, another way to think of it, is that ratios and fractions are kind of the same thing. So if this ratio is equal to this, we're saying that divided by that is equal to this divided by this.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah, so we could say h over r is equal to 4 over 1, and then if we multiply both sides by 1 and multiply both sides by r, cross multiply essentially, again we end up with 4r equals h. But for now, it's worth, some things are just worth remembering as facts. And I think if you've got something r equals something h, r to h is the equivalent to the numbers the other way around, because it's a really common mistake. So don't make that mistake.
Okay, we'll put up part B to the question now for you to have a look at while we clear the board. So in part B, it tells us that the surface area of the sphere is equal to the total surface area of the cone. And if you notice in the question, the word total is in bold, and there's a reason for that. So once again, it gives you some formulas. Formulae? Sorry,
Either
just
way.
being, okay. For the surface areas, but for this one, so it gives you that the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. However, for this one, it just gives you the curved surface area, so the curved surface area of the cone, which is pi r L. But because we're talking about the total surface area, we need to consider this circle at the base as well. And we know that the area of a circle is pi r squared.
Because sometimes, like when you get asked to find the surface area of a cone or a pyramid, people get confused because it's sitting on the ground. They don't know the answer to the question like, does the base count as part of the surface area? And the answer is pretty much always yes, it does.
Okay.
Right.
Do the same as last time. We'll start cancelling stuff out. So we can cancel a pi out in each one. We can cancel an r out in each one, can't we? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's we're there at the moment. Isn't it? We said 4. We've got 4 out.
Equals L plus R. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is nearly done, isn't it?
So that's going to say rearrange it. So then we've got 3r equals L. We can take an r from both sides.
But the problem is, we've got R and L, but our ratio here is
H.
R to H. So what they're asking us to do, they're asking us to go back to part A, aren't they, here? Is it still the same?
Oh,
No,
see,
it's the surface areas that are the same, isn't it now? It's not the...
I was going to say, I would do
Yeah, no, so...
some pi fac.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Go on. So what have we got? What have we got?
Go on. Okay, so we've got L here, but like Matt said, that it's in terms of H here. So you've got, if this side is L and this side is R, you can see it forms a right angle triangle. So this here is the height. Go on, you talk for a bit.
Okay. So basically we need to, because we want R and H, what we've got at the moment is R and L. So we need to get rid of L and replace it with something to do with H. So we need a formula that's going to connect H and L so we can do a substitution. So what we've got here is...
swap places.
Go on then. So if we use Pythagoras, because as Grace said, we've got the right angle triangle. So we've got H squared plus R squared equals L squared. And the curly maths L. Not so curly that it looks like an E, not so uncurly that it looks like a 1. Well, I mean, if we had, you see we've got L squared here, and we've got L. I could square root this. Obviously, what you've got to make sure you don't do is don't go, oh, let's square root this, H plus R equals L, because you can't do that. Remember, you can't do that. And the reason you can't do that is because that's just not how numbers work. Right? So you're probably safer to square this and then substitute on the L squared.
Let's do that then. So if we square this side, we've got 9r squared. So square each term separately equals L squared.
So you've got to remember, if you square 3r, it's not 3r squared. There's so many ways to get this wrong, isn't it? So if I square 3r, got to square the 3, got to square the r, got to square the l. So 9r squared now is l squared. So here, look, I've got h squared plus r squared equals l squared, but l squared is 9r squared. So now I can take r squared from both sides, and I've got h squared equals 8r squared.
And now you can square root both sides.
And now we can square root both sides, yeah. So if I square root h squared, hopefully I get that. If I square root 8, I get the square root of 8. A lot of people get confused about square roots just generally. I've got to square root the r squared as well to get r. Now we use that fact that we used before. So h to r isn't 1 to root 8. H to r is root 8 to 1, right? So, but they want it in terms of r to h. So let's just rewrite this equation the other way first. Root 8 r equals h. I'm struggling to write this away. And so r to h, bit of a mess, isn't it? Is 1 to root 8.
And I know lots of you will be tempted, because it's the square root of 8, we all know that that can be simplified to 2 root 2, but it specifically says leave it in this format, so 1 to root n, so you need to leave that as root 8. Don't simplify it to 2 root 2. Do what the question's asking.
Okay, so that's how you do this. It's not particularly, it's not that the questions like this are particularly difficult, but it's difficult to see where you're going at the start of the question. So what you have to do is just follow step by step, think what can I do next? You can
Just
cancel,
pick up marks as
you
you
can
go.
rearrange, yeah. That's why it's so important to show you working out, because you can get a lot of marks without getting the actual answer right. Although of course, it's better if you get the answer right.
Sometimes you don't even know where you're going until you get there.
No.
Yeah.
No. So that's that. If you've got any other strange GCSE questions you want us to do a video on, let us know in the comments, and that'll be our next one.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.